You are listening to the Obstructed View Red Sox podcast, presented by Beyond the Monster.
How would you kind of break down this past season, the 2023 season for you?
I mean, I think it was successful and it was very enjoyable. I mean, it's obviously my main goal going into the first full season is, to stay healthy, and I was able to accomplish that. So I feel like that was a pretty successful first season, and it was fun getting to get called up pretty soon, like early into the season. That's also, a really big plus too. So
What was that like? Get that call, you get, going to go to the next level. What was that like for you? What was it like for your family?
I mean, it's exciting, obviously. Our goal, or players' goals, is to make it to Fenway, and that was just one step closer to getting there. And obviously, the quicker the better. So it was awesome. It did catch me off guard though. Like, I was not expecting. I figured they were going to take me slow, just because that's what a lot of people were talking about, like player wise. They're like, hey, we kind of take it slow here, and so I was just kind of thinking, all right, I'm gonna probably be in Salem maybe for most of the year. So I'm just gonna, try to do my thing and just enjoy the time being in Salem. And when I got the call to come into the office, talk to the coaches, and they were telling me, hey, you're moving up, I was excited. Obviously, I called my parents, and they were looking forward to it because I was closer to home. So it was easier for them to be able to come out and watch me play. So it was definitely a much better thing.
You had mentioned talking about kind of it being a surprise, and you guys were talking about how it, taking it slow. It seemed like the Red Sox were pretty aggressive this past year with just promotions throughout the entire system. As you got to see other players get promoted, guys around you, et cetera, did it kind of like change like your perception of how they're developing, or do you guys feel that with them being aggressive, that's, exciting to you guys, that you're gonna be able to get that much closer to the next level?
Yeah, I mean, it was like typically the call-ups are, kind of typically at the end of each series. And so, like, you never knew what to expect. Normally, I guess what it sounded like from the guys that was in Greenville with me, which were pretty much all of them played almost a full season in Salem the year before. So they were like, it was just kind of almost like Christmas. You never know if you're going to get open a present on that Christmas Eve type thing. So it was definitely you always stayed on your toes, especially the guys that were, like, for me, obviously, when I got moved up to Greenville, I wasn't expecting to get called up to Portland, like, right when I got there. So, but like the guys that were there and started there, you never knew. It was always talks in the locker room and stuff. So it's definitely, it was, I guess, more motivation for the guys. So, I I think that's the main thing with that.
Yeah. Well, what are some of the biggest differences for you pitching in single A and then going to high A between those two levels?
I mean, obviously the fan base is a big thing, and Greenville is, the atmosphere there is incredible. I mean, the field's amazing, and being downtown's awesome too. But like from just the actual pitching and competing level, I mean the batters are more disciplined at the plate. But to me, like in low A, it just felt like a little step down compared to like a higher, like, college level offense. So that was where it was like, for me, it was, I feel like I was able to be had a positive early outcomes in low A, just because it just felt like it was me being in college again. And so when I called up to high A, it was definitely it was an adjustment, because I feel like maybe the zones are a little tighter too. I don't know, but it was definitely the discipline of the hitters were much better, and that's what I've been told from guys that I'm buddies with, obviously, that are in Double A. And so it's like those guys are even more disciplined. So I feel like that's the biggest difference.
What was it like to go through a whole system, with the Sox? I know your first year you got 2 games in the FCL, but what was it like to, start with the Sox and go through a whole season in the system?
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Or kind of what was just like, you got like a taste of it 2 years ago with those 2 innings in the FCL, and then was it like last year to have like a full season in the system rather than just like a little taste like the year before?
Oh, I mean, yeah. I mean, it's for, especially like going into the off season. Now I know what I really need to work on. Like, that's like the biggest thing, because like going into it this last off season, coming into the first full season, it's like I kind of like didn't I knew obviously like, hey, like get the arm ready because it's going to be a long season, a lot of innings and all that. But now, like I feel like every day I have a goal, and so that's what I'm trying to accomplish every time I'm throwing or working out or something. So it's definitely that's the biggest thing, and like going through a full season, you're ready. Like I've been through it, so now it's like, all right, I know what to expect in spring training. I know what to expect in the season. So I feel like that's the biggest thing is just being able to go through something, and then now you know what to expect.
I know, going back to, I know I talked to you earlier in the season. You said you were trying to work with, was a curveball and getting like a harder grip on your slider. How's that been developing for you throughout the season, since we last talked?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a roller coaster with a lot of stuff, just kind of playing with pitches. And because going in like last season or when I was in college last season, I was 85% fastballs. So like coming in being a starter, obviously at the professional level, you can't be 85% fastball. So for me, it was we sat down and talked before our kind of season started, like, hey, like you kind of want 3 to 4 pitches as a starter. And so we just kind of already had a change up, whatever, and I had a curveball grip, and then like we're like, let's kind of add that fourth pitch. But for me, it was almost feeling like I was learning 3 new pitches because I wasn't really using those other pitches that I already kind of had. So for me, it was just really working on commanding the zone with those all-speed pitches. And for me, when I was in Salem, our goals were to attack the zone with a fastball, changeup, curveball, and slider / cutter pitch, and ended up kind of figuring that out my last 2 starts when I was in Salem. And then when I got to Greenville, we kind of stopped throwing the cutter / slider pitch and really wanted to fine tune the changeup because I was showing some good pitch like shape on it, and they were like, the coaches and the video people were very intrigued by it. So we're like, let's really focus in on that and see where we can get with that. And honestly, now it's my second best pitch. So, and I've never would have. You told me a year ago, like, hey, like you're going to be a changeup guy, I wouldn't have believed you. So, like, it's definitely gone a long way with that. And so now it's for me, this offseason is really, really getting a better shape of the curveball and just really being able to command that curveball whenever I want, because that's kind of where I am with the changeup now. So it's just like maintaining that, and the heater's always been my thing. So it's just being able to continue to add a layer of my game on the mound.
Have you?
How much difference your hold on, my bad, real quick. How much difference your grip on the baseball? I know last year that we spoke with you, you said you kind of had a very, what's the word, ambidextrous like grip on the ball. Have you changed that much, or is it still all the same?
Yeah, it's very unorthodox is what I think I use. But yeah, no, it's the same. It was just for me, it was repetition, just being able to use it. Like I said, being 85% heaters, like if you're not throwing, I probably threw my changeup 4 or 5% of the time, and like I didn't really focus on it in bullpens and stuff just because I knew I didn't need it. I didn't have to use it. So just honestly for me, it was just repetition, being able to just just continue to throw it and catch play, throwing it in between starts and my bullpens, and just ultimately throwing it in games. And so that, and just building the confidence on that and finding the release point is what's really just kind of put me over the edge with it.
Have you started or like ramped up with off-season work yet? Do you take a little time off when the season's over? What's kind of your plan?
Yeah, so been lifting kind of. So whenever the season ended and Greenville ended up going out to Florida for a week, just kind of doing some meetings and just kind of basically prepping us ready for the off season, telling us kind of what we need to work on or whatever. And got home, spent like a couple of days just being with the family and just going to see some buddies I haven't seen, since the season. I've been gone for 10 months. So went and saw some buddies, and then I got back after it. So, I mean, I'm back going and been throwing and lifting and been doing, the usual stuff. So just trying to continue to get back ramping up, probably later in the closer to December, probably be like really getting after it and developing hopefully some good all speed pitches.
A couple of guys last season took some time, added some muscle and stuff to their frame, like Shane Johan. I think he had 14 pounds to his frame. Is that something you're looking to do as well? You're looking to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me, I put on a lot of weight last off season. I put on almost 30 pounds last off season, but it was not as much muscle that I needed to probably put on. For me, it was like it was always hard for me to put on weight. So like I just ate as much as I could throughout, the days. And obviously I was lifting and all that. So like I ended up seeing that I was putting on 30 pounds. Like that's awesome. And then coming to find out when I got into spring training that like you're out hot sun, like I was losing it gradually and like I lost, weight throughout the season. So for me now is like kind of the question you already brought up is like having a full season for me is like now I know what kind of weight I need to put on, not just any kind of weight. So like for me is like my dieting is going to be one of my more important things this off season, in which I've already started. And so for me, it's just putting on a little bit more lean muscle, and I'm almost to the weight where I want to be at. It's just a matter of turning as much muscle as possible and taking away as much fat as possible. So
You want to just jump on that real quick too, because I got to be around the Woo Sox, covered them this past season in the clubhouse, and from a food standpoint, got to see what they got to eat on a regular basis, got to see kind of like the breakdown on the wall, what the Sox are looking for. How did you guys eat when you were down with the clubs? Did they feed you pretty good? Did you get good spreads?
yeah, I mean, I will say Greenville was much better. I don't know if because of the location of the type, like you're able to get certain, restaurants or whatever, but Greenville, I would say, was much better. I think you had better choices. So the food I felt like was better in Greenville.
Yeah, they one night had like Chinese after the game, which to me,
Yeah.
it's like you're eating Chinese food at like 10 o'clock at night, but then you forget that you guys are athletes, you're training, you're working out every day, things along those lines. But I mean, with the Woo Sox, they had, I mean, you name it, Chipotle, they had Outback a ton. I found that every time they had Outback, it was like, I don't know if it was just something with like the offense seemed to go off that night. It was like every time they had Outback Steakhouse, that team went off. But no, I was curious as to how like the food spread. I was always intrigued by that because food is one of my fun little things I like to kind of follow, like on Instagram and TikTok and stuff, and kind of seeing how that worked out. Guys, what do you got?
Right.
This kind of connects to you, Chris, but did you have a favorite minor league city that you went to last year?
I mean, you can't beat Greenville. I mean, I'm sure I'm being biased, but like Greenville, like it was something about, because obviously you play 6-game series, and it's just like the weeks go by faster, the games just go by faster. So, but like if I'm having to pick a away series, I mean, Greenville just sticks out to me. I don't know why. I'm trying to think. I mean, really, yeah. I mean, I really can't even think of on the top of my head like what. I mean, I think Winston-Salem was pretty cool. I like the stadium and how that kind of was set up.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the guys that we've talked to who've spent time in Greenville, that's usually their answer, or that's kind of one of the top three that they mention.
Yeah, we just talked to Tyler Dearden yesterday and asked him the same thing. What was your, favorite spot throughout the system, or even just in general? And he was like Greenville without a doubt. And it seems like every player kind of says that. Does it kind of have like a college feel down there? Like, is that how to make it like relatable? Is it, what's it like?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like colleges, the higher tier colleges, like the Mississippi States and like, that have fan bases. It definitely gives you a college, feel. But I mean, it's just I don't know if it's because it's downtown or what, but the atmosphere is just so much better. Like it's just the stadium with the building they have behind Green Monster, just all comes together, and it's just very enjoyable to be in the atmosphere.
I wanted to circle back kind of real quick. Who within the system has kind of reached out to you that you might have been surprised to talk with, or someone that just might have kind of guided you throughout the whole year that was really your mentor for the season?
Like as a coach or a player?
Just either or, player, coach, just kind of someone that you were surprised that reached out, and somebody that just kind of was there for you throughout the season, help you work your way through it for the first year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, for me, it wasn't really like anything surprising because like I am technically the new guy on the block. So like when I got called up, I mean, a lot of the draft guys started in, low A with me. So, I mean, the only guys that was in my draft class when I got to high A was, I think Isaac Coffey and Alex Hoppy. I think those are the only two that when I got up there that was in my draft class that I like really knew. But I mean, Brock Bell and me were really close, and then Roman Anthony, Cutter Coffee, like just being around those guys was just it felt like I was in college almost. Like, you have your groups and you guys you kind of hang out with a lot, and so Brock Bell was one of them, and then Roman Anthony, like I said, and then Chris Troy, me and him go back playing in the Cape Cod, but unfortunately we're only able to hang out for 1 week when I was up in Greenville. But he's a guy that I've always enjoyed being around. So I'd have to name those couple of guys.
Is there anyone, because was there kind of like a clubhouse clown or anyone's personality that stood out, last year between the levels that you were at?
I mean, honestly, like when I got to Greenville, I felt like I was in college just because like all the guys, I mean, you have more American guys, I feel like in that clubhouse. So it just kind of gave that college vibe. But like when it comes to a guy just really sticking out with personality and just being leadership, I feel like Robert, I don't even want to try his last name, something Ski, but like he stuck out a bunch of just like being a big team guy. Nick Decker. And of course, like Chris Troy, the little bit that I was with them, but I've known them for so long. Like those guys just every day come in with a positive energy and just excited to be at the ballpark. And it just definitely it's just kind of spreads to everyone else in the clubhouse.
What was it like to being in, spring training? You talked about just being under that sun and I remember a couple of us went down for just 3 days and just standing out in that heat for 2 hours. I was like ready to pass out. Was it just like dealing with that for, a couple months at a time?
Yeah. I mean, thankfully, I guess Mississippi does kind of get me prepared for it. Just cause it's not, I mean, I feel like it's probably a better heat for me just because you get that beach breeze in Florida. You don't really get much of a breeze in Mississippi. So like for me, it wasn't too bad of an adjustment, but obviously, like you said, just being out there all day, it's a lot, but, that's where if you stay hydrated and do the right things to prep your body, you put yourself in a pretty good spot.
Yeah. And I was kind of a nod in baseball one when it's, not baseball season, are there any sports that you watch, more than others?
So what was the last part you said?
Are there any sports you watch, more than others when it's not baseball season?
I mean, college football. I will say I'm not a big NFL guy. I'm starting to just because the older you get, you kind of the guys that you grew up with that are in college, and obviously like me not being in college anymore, like you see those guys are in pro now. So I'm leaning more towards NFL, but I do enjoy watching some college football just because it's always pretty high competitive. So and it's SEC football. It's kind of always a
You Ole Miss or
excitement.
Mississippi State?
Neither.
Who's your college?
I grew up. My mom's from Auburn. My grandparents are from Auburn, so I've grown up going to Auburn football games my whole life. So I'd have to say Auburn, just by family.
So is it an eagle or a tiger?
Both.
Never understood that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even try to get into those conversations.
Those are games on TV. That's kind of one stadium or one college football game I always want to go to. I went to Kansas, so like college football has always been god awful. I think my freshman year we won maybe one game. To watch those on TV. Yeah, I want to know how that feels like because during my experience it was like basketball or go for the first 15 minutes and then you call it a day.
Yeah, exactly.
Are you following any of the MLB postseason? Have you been watching any of the games?
Yeah, absolutely. One of my best friends I went to high school with, and he actually played. We went to high school together, played at Southern Miss, or went to Southern Miss, and he plays for the Orioles right now, Reed Trimble. So he comes over the house and we'll watch the games together and just kind of hang out.
You have a team that you want to see win it all, or are you just kind of enjoying the postseason?
I'm enjoying it. Obviously, like it'd be nice to be watching the Red Sox right now, but unfortunately we're not getting to. But I mean, I'm a big underdog guy, so I mean, I definitely don't want to see the Astros win it. I want to see maybe the Rangers or the Phillies, just because my shortstop in college at Southern Miss, his dad's the bench coach, Bobby Dickerson, so kind of rooting for him just because I do know him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, watching those two series, I feel like it's just been an onslaught offensively. Like the Phillies, I would not want to face the Phillies lineup right now if I was a pitcher.
Yeah, it is definitely, they're swinging it really well right now. So they're definitely some hard outs.
Yeah, no, it's been to watch what the Phillies have been able to do because usually in the postseason it's pitching. You know what I mean? If you have the horses, then you got the pitching. That pretty much gives you a massive advantage. And I mean, the Arizona's been good, and they were good all season. Obviously, they're there for a reason. But I mean, you got Castellanos locked in at the plate, seemingly hitting a home run every at bat. Bryce Harper's locked in. Kyle Schwarber, Trey Turner. It's just crazy to see. They almost feel like a team of destiny right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
With the way they're playing. But I'd like to see the Rangers and the Phillies be something different.
Yeah.
I think maybe MLB would like to see that. Hopefully the Red Sox start getting in that conversation coming into with an offseason this year. They got to hire someone to run the organization first, but once we get to that point, we'll go from there. But is there anything else though this offseason, non-baseball related, that you're looking to do? Whether it's just kind of relaxed or are you just focused on training and getting ready for 24?
I mean, what I kind of, tell buddies or, my family is like, I'm knowing how long the seasons are and like being away from home. I'm trying to enjoy every little thing. Obviously, my job is obviously to play baseball, and I do enjoy every little bit of the training. So like, I'm doing that as well, enjoying the training, the process of development. I'm excited to, when I get back on the mound, to be able to, start working on some things. But, I mean, just the little things when I'm not training, hanging out with friends, seeing family. It's just, I'm trying to enjoy every little bit of it.
Guys, anything else you have?
I think I got all mine.
Yeah.
Iggy, what do you got? Anything else?
That's all I think of. Just if I guess one more, just kind of throw out there. If you could strike out one guy that past or present that's played game, if you could just say, "Hey, I've struck out that guy," who would it be?
I mean, I feel, even though he's a Red Sox guy, I mean, I feel like being able to strike out Big Papi would be pretty cool. I mean, he's obviously a Hall of Famer, and he's a guy that hits. So I mean, it'd be pretty cool to probably get to strike him out. So even though he is a Red Sox, but
Yeah.
Actually, Biggie jogged my memory. I do have one more. Is there kind of a lineup that was the hardest to face last year, or a lineup that kind of stood out to you?
I mean, it's funny enough. I feel like Greensboro Grasshoppers, which is the Pirates org's high A team. Like, I feel like I watched 12 games against them. We played them in 2 series when I was in Greenville, and it was like every one of those guys, you never knew who was about to hit one out. And I mean, and for some reason, it ended up being the 2 of my better outings of the year against them too. So it was just kind of, I don't know if it's just the competitive edge in me being able to like, hey, like this team's going to be able to hit, like lock in. So, but they were definitely a team that going into it was like, all right, like you really need to hone in on every single pitch you have, and don't give them a cookie because they'll definitely leave the ballpark.
Did you get an opportunity to face Jackson Holiday at all?
I did not. I was we obviously in Salem opened up to Delmarva. He was there, and then we ended up having a road series there, and I was scheduled to start on that Tuesday, which is the first game. He ended up getting called up that morning. So I was looking forward to it just because Roman Anthony and him are really close buddies, and they talk, and obviously like he's had an amazing season, but it would have been really cool just, to see kind of how I match up to him, which, you never know. Being lefty on lefty, you never know what to expect. But I know he's a very talented hitter and a good kid is what I've heard. So it would have been cool to get to face him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing, when he gets, I mean, it's a matter of time. At some point next season, he'll be with the Orioles. It's going to be exciting to see. Same thing too with like Roman Anthony. He's, just completely shot through the Red Sox system. He's probably going to be with Worcester at some point next season. So there's just a lot of really good talent. And I think the one thing that we want to keep kind of throwing out there and stressing to people is that there's a lot of really good young arms in the Red Sox system. And that just because people don't know your name yet doesn't mean that there's not talent down there. So it is exciting to see, a handful of you guys down in all the levels that are working your way up. It's showing the true development of the system. So it's exciting to see, because the Red Sox haven't had this in a long time. They haven't had arms like you guys, in the lower levels. It's working their way up. So it's refreshing and exciting to see.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first got to Greenville, the starting rotation was unreal. I mean, which obviously all of them ended up being in Portland just about. But it was every day. It felt like, you were going to get 5 or 6 innings and possibly get double-digit strikeouts. I mean, the first week I was there, we played at Rome, and I mean, I think Isaac Coffey had 10 plus. I think Bastardo had 8 or 9. I had, I think, 8 or 9, and then Hunter Dobbins had 10. Wiki had 10. So it was just like, I was like, wow, like this is fun. I enjoy getting to be on a competitive rotation and like obviously bullpen. So it was fun to be a part of that. Unfortunately, or not unfortunately, but fortunately they were caught up. So we kind of had to reload in a way with bringing in Luis Perales, which is a young guy, very talented guy, Monegro later in the year, and it was fun. I was really blessed to be able to be a part with is Zach Penrod coming in from Indy Ball. Me and him kind of clicked when he first got here. Obviously, lefties I feel like have to stick together, and I was every time he was out there, I was just rooting for him just because his story and everything that's going on in his past. So it's definitely exciting to be a part of these rotations.
Yeah, no, I mean Penrod, I mean, just to your point, coming out, at Indy Ball, and he just, every time that you got a box score of him, just absolute domination. And he's now pitching with the AFL. Just another arm that people can get excited for as we head into next season. So, but no, we appreciate it. We took up 30 minutes of your time. Let you get back to the rest of the day.